Kia ora and welcome guys. So in this video I kind of want to go through the basics on how to use Vim. Now the reason I'm making this video was initially because I was inspired by a Twitch streamer slash YouTuber called the Primagian. If you don't know who he is, he's a senior software engineer at Netflix and he does a lot of streaming on Twitch, and he's a lot of content around software engineering and principles like that in his YouTube channel. So that's why I subscribed to him. And in one of his videos he talks about why people should use Vim in 2022. Now a bit about me, I used to use Vim when I was using Linux about a year or two ago. And then I switched to VS Code when I got a Mac. And the main reason I made that switch was Vim was really good. I really liked the key bindings with Vim, but I had problems with the plugins. And sometimes the plugins wouldn't work and I'd spend hours trying to debug it instead of doing actual work. Hence I switched to VS Code and things would just set up really quickly. But since watching that video, I kind of want to make a move back into Vim. I just feel like Vim's a lot cleaner, it's a lot faster. Sometimes VS Code will bug out, it gets a bit slow. VS Code uses quite a lot of memory. So I want to go back into Vim, specifically NeoVim, which I've never used before. So I've used Vim in the past, but I've never used NeoVim. So I kind of want to go back into that. And yesterday I spent the whole day trying to set up my kind of NeoVim setup, but it's not perfect. But I thought, hey, I'll make a video on starting to getting used to Vim or beginning Vim and why you should use Vim if you're thinking about using Vim, just as a demonstration and a bit of inspiration on how it works. And what I'll do is I'll show you, I've got a blog post on kind of my cheat sheet to using Vim as well. So I'll include that. We'll just go through it together, go through the key bindings. That's really important. I think once you get a start, then you can start to explore it yourself and get better at it. And that's the key thing with Vim. My setup isn't perfect for you. You need to find your perfect setup, but Vim at least gives you that ability versus things like VS Code, which are preset for you. You can't really customize it as much. Vim, on the other hand, you can really customize it to your liking. And the idea with Vim is that if you can automate certain tasks, you're not going to lose that flow. So you can basically, if you want to do a certain thing that's quite boring or automated, then you can actually create a customization around that, and that keeps you in the developer flow. And as you find things that you keep doing again and again, or things you need to automate, or things you find inconvenient or you forget to do, that's where you can write a custom plugin for that, or you can write some sort of customization for that. We won't go into that today, but that's kind of things you can do with Vim. And I think the first thing is just to get started, and that's the hardest point in learning anything new. So without wasting too much time, let's jump straight in. So guys, we're on the computer here. Now, another point I want to make is why I'm making this video, because you can go onto YouTube and find so many tutorials on how to use Vim. The main reason I want to make this video is when I watch the Primagian make the video or give the video out on Vim, he's a senior software engineer, he's an expert, he's a very talented individual when it comes to coding. And when you're a beginner or a newbie trying to get into coding or you want to learn how to code, it's quite intimidating seeing someone like almost pretty much a god figure use Vim. But I want to let you guys know that if you watch me doing Vim, you can definitely use Vim. I'm some noob optometrist trying to learn how to code, trying to escape my current job to learn how to code. And if I'm using Vim, you can definitely use Vim. Another point I want to make is you're not going to learn using Vim from me. My video is purely for inspiration and just to get you started. So the best way to learn Vim is to actually do it yourself. So you can click off this video and start using Vim straight away, or you can continue to watch and just see me kind of fluff around with Vim and laugh at me. So let's get started, shall we? On the left-hand side, I've got the terminal. On the right-hand side, I've got the actual blog post that I wrote coming 2 years ago, and I'm still a noob. That's because of me, but you guys would definitely work a lot faster and better than I would. But anyway, how it works is Vim is usually installed on Mac OS and on Unix systems. You may have to install it if you're on Windows, and I think the first thing is to do is actually to open it up. So you open up Vim, type Vim in the console, and it comes up with this very nice screen. Now, the running gag with Vim is it's really hard to actually, well, you don't know how to exit. If you go on Google, you'll find a Google search on how to exit Vim. Because if you go Control-C, which is a typical way of exiting out of a program, you can't. You actually have to do this. There's three ways of getting out of Vim. So the first one is :Q, and that gets you out of Vim. Another one which I use and quite commonly is Control-X. What that does, that saves the file. So let's say if you do some stuff and you want to exit, there's no name for the file, but this would actually save what you've written to the file and exit. I'll show you when I do that. So I'll quit out of this and I'll just make a quick file. So Vim test.test. If I type in here, hello, my name is test, and go Control WQ is the same as X. And if I go back into that file, test, you'll see it's there. Let's get rid of that. So now you know how to get out of Vim. That's the first, probably the hardest part. It's all downhill from here. It's smooth sailing, I promise. So I'll just get rid of that. So I think the next thing is to run through how to navigate through Vim. So the beauty of Vim and why people should use it is that you're pretty much on the keyboard the entire time. You're not going from keyboard to mouse. So if I go into a file, oops, there we go. So this is a kind of a Python file that I've been working with. And you can see navigation is really cool. So you don't have to use your mouse. Well, actually, you really can't use your mouse. You have to use these 4 keys. And it will be weird to begin with, but it does become quite intuitive. Okay, so to go down is J, to go up is K, to go to the right is L, and to go to the left is H. That's it. That's how you navigate around in Vim. And it does feel a bit weird to begin with, but it will become muscle memory in no time. Now, the really cool thing is if I type in 20J, it takes me down 20 lines. So you can type a number, 10L, and it will replicate that command the number of times you've put down. So if I put it 10, if I do 10H, it will do 10H 10 times. Now I think the next thing to do is if you are maybe in somewhere in the middle of the file and you want to go up to the top, you press GG. And if you want to go all the way down to the bottom, you press Shift G. That takes you all the way down to the bottom of the file. Now I can go all the way up to the top again. And imagine if I'm on this line here. I think if I do set cursor line, will that work? Cool, you can see what line I'm on there. So that's a real cool thing about Vim, by the way, is it's customizable. Let's say I'm on this line here and I want to get to the very end. So I could do Shift $, that takes me to the very end. If I want to get to the start, I can press 0. Or if I'm on the end there, so I can press Shift caret, and that takes me to the start. Great. Sometimes if you're navigating and you want the cursor to be in the middle, let's say I'm down here and I want the cursor to be in the middle, I can just press ZZ, and that moves the entire, without moving my cursor, it moves the whole screen up to the middle. And let's say I want to do something else. Like let's say I want to search some text. So I want to search up class meta. So to search that up, you just type / class and meta. And I'll search it up there, enter, and then I can start editing there. Press ZZ to get it in the middle, and I can start editing there. Okay, let's say I want to do some renaming. So I want to rename this session thing. Now this can be quite dangerous because you could have a file that has the same name like session lift, or a variable with session lift, and you just want to change session. It'll also change this as well because there's no context. So that's quite important to understand. So this is actually quite dangerous, but it's a way of being able to replace things. And this is what I usually do. I will go session and S session, and I can replace it with hello. That won't work, will it? No, that's fine. Okay, we'll ignore that. So far, most of the commands we've done have been in what's known as command mode. Well, let's say we want to edit something. So the way to edit something is to go into insert mode. So that's where I press I. And when I'm in I can type in things. Hello, my name is Shivan. And I press exit to get back into command mode that I can move around again. You can see I've not touched my mouse at all. All it's been is on the keyboard. Now, another mode is visual mode, so that's V. If I press V, that allows me to select text. And if I want, let's say, for example, I want to delete this text here, I can select it, and I press D, and it's gone. And if I want to get out of, so that puts me back into command mode again. And if I want to, let's say, delete that line, I can just press DD while I'm in command mode, which is really cool. And if you do combinations, let's say I want to get rid of a block of text like this, I can press Shift V and go down pressing J, and I can delete that. And that deletes the entire section there, which can make it really fast. And if I want to go back, I just press U. That undoes everything. So we're going pretty fast now, guys, so I hope it's okay. Let's say I'm on this line here and I want to start editing at the end of the line. Well, I just press Shift A and now I'm at the end of that line and I can do some editing. So edit there, blah, blah, blah. Let's say I want to insert underneath this line, I just press O and I could type in another variable here. And I can delete that. Let's say I want to go above, I go Shift O. That takes me up to the top there. And let's say I'm in the middle here and I want to go to the start and rename this variable. I just press Shift I. I can start typing there. Let's say I want to copy this line, so I can go Shift V, yank, paste. I want to delete that line. Shift V and delete. Cool guys, so at the end it got pretty wishy-washy with the commands, but this video is just to inspire you to use Vim. Now the only way to get good at something is to actually use it, and I encourage you to use it. At the beginning there's going to be a bit of hurdle, it's going to be a bit slow, but after that it's going to be so rewarding in using Vim. And currently I'm getting back into NeoVim, so I think maybe in the future I'll do another video like unveiling how I'm setting up my entire NeoVim, but I need to get better at that myself. I'm on the same journey as you guys, so whatever you do guys, start using Vim, stay focused, and talk soon.